What if the only way to become strong was to die? In a world of accomplished hunters, power, and glory, one man has nothing, no skills, no rank, and no future. Just pure, burning jealousy for an idol. Meet Gong Ya. But he finally manages to get into the competition as fate plays a twisted joke on him. The day he finally gets an S-rank skill, he gets murdered. That's where the plot twist comes. Every time Gong Ya dies, time rewinds 24 hours with the ability to copy his nemesis skills. So what does a powerless man do in this loop? Die to level up. Everyone gathers around the top-tier Black Dragon Guild, reporters, media, and civilians. The Flame Emperor had once again managed to beat the boss on his own, setting a new record. He was being questioned by a reporter until he became annoyed and took the mic from him rudely. He suggests to a reporter that they change his freaking title first. He tells them to use his name instead of that stupid nickname. Flame Emperor, he says they should just call him the Plague instead. A black-haired man watches the Flame Emperor enviously from the screen of his laptop. The guild member complains that he is going to find the guy who made the nickname and torture him. The reason why the man was so envious of the member was because he had the power to be able to say whatever he wanted. He opens the community chat on his phone to find people talking about the latest gossip. Unlike their evidence-based points, he continues and repeatedly says that he wants to be like the Flame Emperor. One person eventually notices him and questions why he keeps saying the same thing. But the man did not pay any heed and continued typing the same thing over and over again. He knew for sure that if this world was a novel, a person like the Flame Emperor would definitely be the main character. His attention diverts as his hero begins to say motivating words for his aspiring fans. He says that those who will succeed, but they should not get in his way even if they succeed, or he will kill them. With that, he left the podium. With this, the broadcast ended. The black-haired man immediately shut off his laptop and began to cry. He stares at the newspaper articles he had pasted on his wall, wondering if it is okay to just ignore people when they become that great. If he just had one decent skill like the Flame Emperor, then he would not need to live in this studio and be looked down on for being the lowest class hunter without a single skill. This is exactly why he was envious of the famed Flame Emperor. So jealous that either he wanted to succeed with his own self or, even better, to own the Flame Emperor's death. He continues crying until something begins to glow. Catching his attention, he looks up to find a mysterious card. Unlike you, my audience, he instantly recognizes what it is. It is a scene that he has only seen 1,000 times in videos, a skill card. The system window pops up saying that he has an unsightly envy that is yet to be found in history. And since the tower is moved by his determination, it praises him for his achievements. This confuses the man, as this was quite different from what he saw in the videos. What did he decide not to care about the system's tone when he just received a skilled card? This is the moment he has been waiting for ever since he got here. On top of it all, it was a gold card, an S-rank skill. With this card, he can copy one of the skills of someone who kills him and make it his, but he cannot copy a skill from targets that have already killed him previously. This only confuses him, as he wonders what kind of skill this is. The tower appeared in this world without notice. You could see the tower on the horizon from anywhere on Earth. Those with nothing to lose entered the tower first and saw its insides. Each floor of the tower was filled with monsters from other worlds. A few of those who entered were chosen by the tower and received a skill. As for those who heard the rumors, they flocked to the tower and started hunting for the monsters. The man was facing an existential crisis on the other hand. He had gained an S-rank card, but it was useless to him. He basically had to die to gain skills. He groans on his way home as he sees today's hunter ranking. As he reaches the end of an alleyway, his attention is immediately grabbed by a familiar face. The Flame Emperor, the woman beside him, was the Saintess. They were known to be a couple, but their interactions shocked the man completely. The Flame Emperor confronts the Saintess for trying to poison him and put him into trouble. He grabbed her by the neck and interrogated her on who told her to kill him. In the end, the conclusion was that it is the witch from Black Dragon. With that, Flame Dragon eliminates Saintess Isabel. The man watches the scene unfold anxiously. His hero was a psychopath, a murderer. He hides his gagging and runs away. However, some empty glass bottles crush underneath his feet. The noise obviously catches Flame Dragon's attention. He grins, saying that he thought he chased all the rats out of the area, but there was still one left. The black-haired man knew those are the eyes of a murderer, and they will not hesitate to do it once again. In the moment, he could only help but wonder how many has he killed until now, but as he tries to rush away, he stumbles and falls. He tries to beg for his life, but the Flame Emperor asks why he ran then. He asks if he saw anything. The man begins to cry, promising that he did not see anything at all. But the Flame Emperor grabs him by the neck, saying that he calls him Flame Emperor and claims that he did not see whatever he didn't see. The man begs, promising that he won't tell anyone. Flame Emperor then asks who sent him and if he is from Black Dragon as well. The man begins to quiver and suggests the Flame Emperor use the lie detector ability on him. Flame Emperor frowns and asks what lie detecting skill is. This makes the man realize that he had killed that person without any evidence just because they were a little suspicious. The Flame Emperor argues that the woman was really trying to kill him. If he had not killed her today, she would have poisoned him tomorrow. He then parts the man's head, saying that since he was crying about the lie detector skill, he must really be innocent. However, he instantly activates his flame ability, saying that he should just die since he did see everything. And that's how the black-haired man, Gong Ya, died. Just then, the system window pops up amid the darkness, revealing that the skill requirements have been met because of his death. The system then begins to copy Hunter Yu Suha's skill completely. Amid the darkness, Gong Ya was determined to live better next time. He reaches out and grabs the glowing skill card. He jolts awake hearing the news in the background. The color from his face drains as he wonders how he is back in his bed, utterly confused. Gong Ya looked around, wondering when did he come back home? His phone begins to buzz with notifications and he opens the community chat. Everything was happening in a chronological order, everything from yesterday. Things that had already happened. He stretches out his hand to reveal the skilled cards. One of his skills was a useless rare skill. His eyes widened as he realized that he copied the Flame Emperor's skill when he died. And now he has returned 24 hours prior to his death, with all his memories and abilities intact. He grits his teeth in fury as he remembers how the Flame Emperor killed him even though he was innocent. His attention diverts as he seizes the laptop screen on which the Flame Emperor is addressing his fans. He tells them not to get in his way, even if they too succeed, or they will die. This only makes Gong Ya more determined to finish him off. All of a sudden, he hears noises outside. From his window, he sees something has caught on fire. He goes outside, and everyone was rushing towards the scene with either fire extinguishers or buckets full of water. The place Gong Ya lives is not the same as the outside world. It was a city made by the people who came to the tower aspiring to be hunters. He rushes towards the scene and checks the time on his phone. It was 6:37, the time the Flame Emperor set fire to the building to cover the evidence. Water users began to use their skills. The Black Dragon girl leads the black, which also emerges. Other members of the guild were alongside her. The city went by many names. Some called it Babylon, others called it First Floor City. A few called it Lantern City, but it all meant the same thing. It is the city that you cannot leave once you enter. The citizens of this city are people who have to live in these extreme situations. Now let's introduce you to other members of the Dragon Guild. Alchemist Castellan was the healer and pharmacist of the Black Dragon. Captain Holly Knight was an urban vigilante. Everyone looks around to see a missing member of the guild, the Saintess. They wonder where she could be, as she is not the type to be lied to about these things. The other members also talk about it. Soon Flame Emperor appears. He cheekily asks who is playing with fire without his permission. He arrogantly says he can help them, but what does he gain from it? Gong Ya finds him a psychopath, asking for a reward to put out the fire he started. Everyone who admired the hero defended him for not being like the other hunters. They all said that they did not care about his personality, as he is already a legend. They all think that he is a hero with an eccentric personality. But only Gong Ya knows the true face of that murderer. He was all of a sudden surrounded by the need to kill him, for mankind and for the hunter's honor. With a weapon in his hand, he, without hesitation, goes up to the Flame Emperor. That is what everyone else thought. Instead, he walks towards the fire to everyone's shock. It was hot and it burned. But Gong Ya knew that was the only way to kill that monster, the monster that deserves to be killed. Gong Ya was surrounded by the familiar feeling of darkness yet again as the system announced that he had died and would be returning to 24 hours prior. And so he returns back, starting the same day again. This only confirms that the skill is working properly. For now, he knows that killing the Flame Emperor is impossible. Even if he gets lucky, that scumbag will go 24 hours back. This is his skill anyway. He stares at one of the articles in which he gave an interview about the time of his awakening. Flame Emperor had revealed that it was the summer when he was 21. Gong Ya grabs his spear and begins to calculate how long ago that was. 11 years ago on June 7th, 50 days ago from today, he instantly introduces that he has to die 50 times to get that scumbag before he is awakened. He stabs himself and returns back. He continues to stab himself repeatedly until it is the last day. With vigor and determination, he finally managed to return to that day on June 7th. He came back to the time before the Flame Emperor's legend was written. He had died 30 times more than he planned, though from the time it took him to kill himself and the time it took to rest in between. The trials that he endured so that the demon's legacy would not live on were too many, and now he would not return back. It is time to now find his prey. It was May 6th, 11 years ago. He makes his way to the Flame Emperor's apartment. For the perfect execution of his plan, Gong Ya decided to replay the day about 10 times. It was in order to get a hang of the person's routine. After careful observation, he managed to get a hang of it. At 9 a.m., Flame Emperor wakes up and leaves the F-rank hunter apartment. By 3 p.m., he hunts slime on the second floor of the tower. As a 21-year-old, he is a typical F-rank hunter waiting for his life to turn around. Normally, he would have gotten his wish in about a week, but Gong Ya will obviously ensure that he does not get to have that future. Thinking he can no longer live hunting slimes, Yusuha goes to a higher difficulty area that most beginner hunters do not enter. That is the 6th floor. For the next 36 minutes, there will be no one but him in this area. Gong Ya will feign fright and will approach the man for help, making up an excuse that he got attacked by the wolves. He asks Yusuha for a potion, but the man asks him for something in return. He complains that he already can't make enough today, and he has to give him the expensive potion for free. Gong Ya expected him to be such a person. Yusuha ends up taking all his money and is about to kill him. But Gong Ya reacts quickly and ends up killing him. He stares at his body, remembering the time Yusuha killed him. He found it weird that the hero revealed his name to him before killing him. After all, why would he tell him his name? Turns out he was pretending to be a knight in a sacred duel. Suddenly, red wolves swarm around after smelling the corpse. Gong Ya gives them permission to eat the guy, who then instantly starts ripping the body apart. Gong Ya changes into a cleaner set of clothes and makes his way back to the first floor. He finds a vigilante on his way. But fortunately, he doesn't pay attention to him. It was over. No one knew what Gong Ya did. Sword King, the #1 ranked hunter, was being talked about in the news about how he isn't partaking in raids. Gong Ya cheers and celebrates how the disgusting legend Yusuha is no longer in this world. He opens his hunter ability window and gawks at his precious skills. But he does notice he doesn't possess offensive abilities. He thinks of various stuff to do and where he should go from here onwards. Just then, a man enters the bar asking for some warm milk mixed with vodka. While Gong Ya initially finds him weird, he looks again when people murmur about him. He was on TV, the Sword Saint. Sword Saint's real name was Marcus Callenberry. It had been a while since he went missing, so Gong Ya guessed he was forgotten. That is, until Flame Emperor Yusuha made a name for himself, he was the undisputable top ranker. But now that he is back in the past, he knows that this guy is the current greatest. This means he must have an S-rank skill, not some weird skill like his, but a solid offensive one. His eyes widened as he realizes that he might be able to copy the skill of any hunter that kills him. That is, even if it is the era's rank 1. Gong Ya becomes confident that he can definitely do this. He opens the community site to research more about Marcus. Apparently, no one really knows what skill he has, but they heard how he threw everything aside to come to the tower. Gong Ya was surprised because the guy is a complete mystery and there was number good on information on him at all. It would have been great if this guy was even half as egotistical as the Flame Emperor. All of a sudden, the Sword Saint speaks up, telling in mid-air to shut up. He kept talking, making Gong Ya taken aback. He returns to his phone, realizing that the man must really talk to himself. This makes me wonder if it is a must for all top rankers to have something wrong with them. He finds another post that was somewhat a warning. It told readers that there is something you should never say in front of the Sword King Marcus. The poster said that he saw this happen with his own eyes, and if they do not want to die, they should never say this to the Sword King. Apparently a few days ago, some high-ranking hunters started to pick a fight with him, calling him an old man. They kept laughing at him for his age and saying that he might need hearing aids. The Sword King bared with everything silently until the man started to talk about his grandchildren. The end result was the Sword King killing humans. But under that post, there were many replies strolling the poster saying that they don't believe him. Nonetheless, the poster warns everyone not to talk about his grandchildren or mention them in front of him. Gong Ya looks towards the man who is still speaking in midair and realizes this is worth testing. After a while, Marcus left the bar, causing everyone to sigh in relief. They all wonder if he has dementia because he was talking to himself. Gong Ya pays his bill to the bartender and also leaves. He then begins to find the rank 1 Sword King. He came out right as the man left, so he could not have gone far, that is for sure. He finally manages to find Marcus. After all, there was only one guy who dresses like that in Babylon, so it was not too hard to find him. Gong Ya wonders what kind of skill the man has. The Flame Emperor had an X-rank rare skill. Gong Ya becomes excited as he wonders if this man has something even better. As long as his lucky streak keeps up, this skill will soon be his. After he follows the man to a clearing in the forest, Marcus stops walking and says around here should be good. He then points towards Gong Ya, telling him to come out now. Gong Ya, I didn't expect the man to find him out instantly. He tells the man that he has a request. Marcus grins, saying that that must be why he's pretending to be telling him. He asked what he wants from this old man, that he came at him like this. Gong Ya was taken aback. He guesses the man must be thinking he purposely let him notice him. He was not even armed and the old man was already holding his sword like he's going to attack him. Gong Ya's face turns pale. Marcus appreciates his acting, saying that is exactly one would expect from a first-rate assassin. Gong Ya wanted to clarify that is not it, but no words come out from his mouth. He only apologizes, saying that he was not following. Congratulations, Kim Gong Ya, you don't even need to provoke the old man by mentioning his grandchildren for him to kill you. Marcus looks at him in disgust, saying that he came all the way here and is still acting. Gong Ya asks how he can say he is a first-rate assassin when he looks pretty normal and common. But Marcus coldly stabs his sword to the ground, telling him to shut his mouth. He reveals that he has quite a few skills. Among them is a skill that tells him how many humans one has murdered. This makes Gong Ya instantly realize the problem. Though he had reason to do that, a murder is a murder. He knew that he would become a monster in the future, but to the people now, he has no excuse. He guesses Marcus must probably see the digit 1 above his head right now. Gong Ya begs the man to hear him out on this, as he had a really good reason to have this number. He even tries to swear on his life, but the man finds him utterly disgusting as a demon like him, who has killed so many to even try to put a value on his life. Marcus admits that he has not lived a clean life himself, but he has not murdered so ruthlessly like he has. Gong Ya becomes confused, saying that he has only ever killed one person. But the man says he feels no shame with those blatant lies, as the count of how many people he has killed is clearly 4091 right above his head. A sudden realization dawns upon Gong Ya, a sinking one. He earned 1 count for killing Yu Suha, and 4090 for the times he has killed himself. Marcus interrogates if the black dragons which sent him. Gong Ya has come to comprehend that to that man he is a legendary assassin who has killed 4091 people. This isn't a matter of coping skills anymore, and so, speechless, he begins to run away. He knows that as long as the Sword King has that skill, every time he sees him, he will try to kill him. Marcus charges at the boy, saying he will use all he has to end his life, calling him a demon. Gong Ya manages to dodge the first blade attack. This only confirms Marcus' suspicion of him being a first-rate assassin. While trying to dodge his attacks, Gong Ya stumbles on a rock and falls. Marcus was about to stab him to death but halts. He begins talking to an invisible entity, asking if they should capture and interrogate the boy. He continues arguing to himself that the interference is not necessary here. Gong Ya was extremely confused, but he knows the conversation sounds too real to be a mental disorder and wonders if talking to himself is a skill. His eyes widened as he realizes it must be telepathy. He has heard something of it before, that there are skills like that in this world. And so it must be that the Sword King is sharing his information with other people, that there is a murderer who killed 91 people. Gong Ya could imagine himself becoming a wanted man in the Hunters Association, and being the target of large guilds and top rankers until he is publicly executed in Babylon Plaza. That doomed future was right in front of his eyes, and he knows he cannot let that happen. He has to die now before 24 hours passes and he cannot reverse it. And so he manages to stand up and interjects the Sword King's conversation. Mustering up courage, he asks the old man if his grandchildren are doing fine. He talks about how the outside world seems to be a bit dangerous around now, and if they carry his blood then they will sure be lovely people. Just like that, without any hesitation, the old man beheads the boy. As Gong Ya's head topples to the floor, he wonders if the moon always looked upside down like this. His eyes become lifeless as he realizes how beautiful the moon is. All he wanted was to be like the man, and so just like that, he died. He returns to the system where a skill card was being created for him. Gong Ya internally cheers as now he will have the skills of rank 1 hunters from 2 eras. But he becomes extremely flabbergasted when it came to choosing the skill guard. Turns out there was no gold card to begin with. The legend before the Flame Emperor, Marcus reached the top with no rank ability and just his own strength. Gong Ya found the truth unbelievable. Looking at it, there were 3 brown cards and 4 silver cards. He knew the chances 1 out of 4. The silvers probably contain a mediocre skill like the kill count, which he does not want. What he needs is an ops skill. He ends up choosing 1 card and returns through 24 hours prior. As soon as he wakes up, he immediately opens the hunter ability window. Fortunately, it was at least an A+ rank, but he sighed as he realizes it was another passive skill. But he decides not to be greedy as it was still an A+ tier. Its name was Sword Constellation, but he could not understand what it meant. However, his attention diverges as he hears an unfamiliar voice questioning who is being so loud. Gong Ya's face turns pale as he looks sideways to see an unfamiliar figure sleeping beside him. Addressing him as old man, he tells him that he should go quietly if he wants to go to training at night. He continued speaking while his face was turned on the other side. These strangers says that if he moves, he will just end up following him and there is no reason to wake him up for that. Gong Ya was dumbfounded and asks who he is. The man was also a bit taken aback and confirms if he can see and hear him. Gong Ya affirms to everything, to which the man says that is weird and impossible. He then begins to complain about the small house, saying that it is more like a dog house, and asks where the old man Marcus is. Gong Ya asks if he's talking about the Sword King, to which the man affirms but says it is. Quick preposterous to call a beginner a sword saint. This surprises the boy. Apparently the man was a sword master from another world who has cleared his world's tower until the 99th floor, but was defeated just before the 100th. His resentment was so great that he became a wandering spirit. You cannot physically interact with this world, but he can mentally interact with the ability holder and get advice from his extensive knowledge and experience. Gong Ya begins to sweat nervously and says that he must have copied him. The man's mouth gapes open in astonishment as he yells at him to return him to the old man this instant. He begins to cry, saying that he should be able to cancel it and get him a refund. Gong Ya also begins to crash out, saying he really cannot do anything about this. The man continues to have an emotional breakdown, saying that old man Marcus was a failure of a pupil as his teacher was kidnapped by his enemy. Gong Ya tells him to live quietly, like the man reminds him that he's already dead, then begins to curse at the boy as he says that he should then die quietly. Gong Yahi wonders why this spirit is so talkative, but then he remembers all those incidents when Marcus was talking to himself consistently. He sighed deeply as everything now made sense. Turns out he has to hide from the Sword King for the rest of his life, and also the stupid skill. The man becomes confused, wondering why would he hide from the old man as there is no other hunter as kind as him. As long as you don't mention his grandchildren, it's fine. Gong Ya reveals that the old man has a skill that lets you see people's skill count. The spirit already knew what it was, he says. It is Detective's Insight, a useless skill that just lets you get an idea whether your opponent is a killer or not. Gong Ya averts his eyes and points towards his head, saying his kill count is 4091. The man frowns in shock, saying he is insane as he is totally a beginner. It also seems like he doesn't have any aura, so how would he even kill 4091 people? Gong Ya responds that is because he did not actually kill 4091 people. The only one he killed was a person that would be a villain in the future. 4090 times is the number of times he has killed himself. He further reveals that he did it to kill that guy from 11 years in the future. He has an ability that lets him copy or steal from someone who kills him, and that guy had a skill that lets him return to 24 hours before death. So even if he dies, he goes back one day and has pretty much become immortal. Gong Ya further discloses that he wanted revenge, but that man was the world's rank 1, and because of his rare skill, he couldn't even kill him even if he was strong. So he came back to the point before he awakened. This fitted initially listened to him quietly and then asks if he turned back time just to get revenge on that one guy. Plus, he killed himself for 11 years worth of days. Gong Ya becomes quiet and doesn't say anything. The spirit leans forth and asks for his name. He then points to him, asking why did he came to copy that old man's skill right after he got revenge on the Flame Emperor guy. Gong Ya simply reveals that the old man is the #1 hunter in this era. He needs to get the strongest skills, as that is how to get stronger. The spirit turns quiet for a while. It then says that the reason he is answering his questions honestly is because the skill card says that only he can notice him. Since information cannot leak and therefore he does not have anything to worry about. Gong Ya says as a matter of fact that is true. The spirit smiles and tells him to stand up. Begins to inspect the boy, saying that he has got some insane resolve and his body does not look too terrible, plus he has got good ambitions. After pondering for a while, he asks the boy to show him how he hunts monsters. They come to an open clearing and the spirit tells him to kill a few of them. The spirit quietly observes the boy kill a few monsters, and it was just as his intuition had expected. He tells Gong Ya how he was called the Sword Emperor in his previous life. His homeland is not here but of another world. A tower sprouted up just like this world, and he went up to the tower faster than anyone else. He says that when the boy is as strong as he is, he will know it when he sees it. And so that is why he asked him to show him how he hunts. Gong Ya smiles dejectedly, saying that his efforts were wasted then as he has no talent for fighting at all. This spirit was confused and asks why he is saying that. He asserts that the boy has got talent and an extremely huge one. He affirms that he has no talent in fighting as his movements are clumsy and his body is just average. Plus he seems like he is not able to awaken aura, but the unique talent that he possesses is that he has no fear for death. Normally, when people fight, they naturally try to save their bodies, but surprisingly, he does not do that at all. He says the dying 4,000 times probably pushed that fear away. He explains to him that talents are not things you are just born with. Anyone can awaken a talent as they live their lives, and of all of them, the hardest talent to learn is to beat the fear of death. He points to Gong Ya, saying that is a great achievement. Gong Ya was quite taken aback by his words, as no one has ever told him something like this in his entire life, himself included. He was just furious. That the Flame Emperor treated him like a bug. That feeling just led him to kill himself 4,000 times without a second thought. But to think death would be his talent, that was not something he had expected. The spirit then asks what came to his head when he died to old man Marcus. Gong Ya looks towards the moon, saying he thought it was beautiful. The spirit instantly bursts into laughter. He found the situation pretty entertaining. He points that his skill was not steal, but copy. Therefore, the old man Marcus probably has another him as his ability. He wonders who would become the better hunter, the old man or Gong Ya. And so he volunteers to help him take over the tower and become stronger than old man Marcus. The spirit wakes up Gong Ya early the next morning, threatening him about how old man Marcus will be clearing the 10th floor right now, and all he needs is 5 more minutes to sleep. He begins to sing, pissing off Gong Ya. With tears in his eyes and filled with sheer rage, he yells at the spirit and shows him his phone. He says it is 4 in the morning. The spirit explains he is weaker than a bug and needs to get up early to train. He continues to rage-bait Gong Ya, saying he can't even die, nicknaming him Kim Zombie. And so, Gong Ya had no choice but to go out and exercise. After a short while, the spirit tells Kim Zombie that he has really nothing but his resolve. He says that he usually likes teaching from the ground up, but in this case, he is not even on the ground. It's been 4 days since Gong Ya copied the Sword Master skill from the Sword King. Since then, he has haunted Yu Suha one more time and avoided meeting the Sword King. The spirit kept on underestimating his skills while he was having trouble running. The spirit had put him on a schedule for training. He tells the boy that he is getting special training, and for that he needs to pay the expensive registration fee. There is a guild named Merchant Troop, and their official name would be Merchant Alliance. The guild leader is the 3rd-ranked hunter named Countess. She is the only one who has the skill to trade things from the outside world. Because of that overpowered skill, the Merchant Troop has a complete monopoly within the tower, and it became the only place to buy lottery tickets in Babylon. While Gong Ya One wins that happiness lottery, the spirit wonders why the staff always wear cat ear hats. Gong Ya whispers back that he heard the group's leader is a cat lady. The staff says that he cannot cash in tickets after 2 years of buying them, so he should check the dates. Gong Ya remembers buying the ticket right after being with the spirit, so he says it is from last week. There is a need for him to win the lottery at least once, and the spirit kept talking about how they needed some money. The staff member begins to do some background checks and becomes shocked when he sees that the boy had once won the first-place prize in the lottery. All eyes turned towards him. Gong Ya only smiles back in satisfaction. The spirit also scoffs, saying it is easy to earn money. The staff member instantly hurries behind, saying that he will bring his supervisor. Gong Ya tells the spirit that before he came here, Yu Suha used his power to win the lottery as well. And so he learned that even though you tried to hide it, you cannot. It is actually safer to have it publicly announced. If the winner gets murdered, then the Merchant Troop's reputation will be the most affected. Soon enough, the supervisor makes his way to the front, introducing himself as Arthur Taylor. He says he is called the Safekeeper and that they should call him by that name. He then asks the boy to follow him to the upper floors. Gong Ya is aware that he is not someone an F rank like him can stand up to, but today is different as he is currently a 50,000 gold customer. This spirit was amused to see him excited and says he must get happy too easily because he has never been treated this nicely before. Spirit points out how he was happy earlier when he said he had a talent for dying. It was almost sad watching him. Gong Ya's mood instantly shifts and he becomes annoyed, internally hoping for the spirit to shut up. He wonders if all the emperors are psychopaths, and that is surely one thing he will not learn from them. The supervisor guides him towards the VIP lobby, saying that this is the first place prize that he will be taking. Gong Ya was instantly starstruck by the gold coins laid on the table. It was equivalent to 5.5 billion won in his homeland. He gulps, knowing that with this kind of money, he could live like a king. If being successful was his objective, he would have fulfilled his dream already. The supervisor says he may take it all away right now or store it here in the merchant group safe. However, he decided that he would beat the tower and stand at the top of the hunters. Then the money is just a means to get to the end. He has already seen a golden light more attractive than gold coins, after all. Gong Ya, therefore, he decides that he will keep it here with the merchant troop. The supervisor praises him for making a wise decision, saying that he personally always recommends that choice to the winners. Gong Ya then says he would like to buy an honorary guild membership. The spirit grins, saying that he is smarter than he thought. A guild is not just a friendly group of hunters. The biggest reason a hunter joins a guild is to be protected by the guild's name. There may be vigilantes and the Hunters Association, but the city is too lawless to rely on them. You can see it from how the Flame Emperor and the Sword King were able to just kill the protagonist. The Flame Emperor never belonged to a guild and lived in his own pride. He won the lottery twice, but he probably never paid any protection money. To have rejected every guild means that he made enemies of large guilds. That is why he would get poisoned. There is no reason to make enemies of those large associations. And so Gong Ya decides he won't follow in that guy's footsteps. He then reveals to the supervisor that he lives in a cheap studio right now and will pay the rent, so he requests the girl to recommend him to a different home. And if the newspaper company asks for the identity of the first-place lottery winner, then they need to make sure to tell them that he is an honorary member of this group. The supervisor sized him up, calling him thorough. The spirit was amused by the whole scene, saying that he was going to treat him like a fool, but that backfired. He was impressed by the way the protagonist was handling things. To Gong Ya, this was only the start. With 4,000 deaths and 4,000 returns. A special privilege he didn't do because he was fixated on revenge. It is time for him to now enjoy it. After leaving, the spirit reminds Kim Zombie about when he said the fees are the most important figure when it comes to tuition classes. He says that he just got hold of the tuition fees and asked what the next thing they need is. Gong Ya answers that he needs a skilled teacher, to which the spirit says he already has that in front of him. He points out that he needs a textbook, something like an elixir that can increase his physical abilities or a scroll that contains the principles of martial arts. But considering where he is at right now, he will not even be able to understand the secret martial art manuals anyway. So the only answer is to get the elixirs, and they need a good one. The spirit wanders there while wondering if it was called Alchemy Castle or something. He points out it was with doctors and pharmacists. Gong Ya points out that they're super expensive. The spirit agrees. He whispers the prize in his ear, shocking Gong Ya. So even if he uses all of his leftover assets, he will only get 4. The spirit grinned, saying he will probably get 5 bottles if he gets a bulk discount. He says he can do nothing about it because he lacks talent and tells him to follow him. But all of a sudden, the spirit holds. His demeanor had shifted and he asked the boy to hide. He says he forgot to tell him about this. He looks from the side and says this is old man Marcus's favorite store. Gong Ya's face turns pale, wondering why the spirit is only saying this now. He knows it is going to get troublesome if he notices him. However, to his relief, the old man did not notice him. But the spirit had more concerns. He says that if the old man is here, he must be buying the elixirs today as well. He then yells to the boy that they are in trouble. It was just like he had expected. The old man was making his way into his favorite store. He looks at the store in a sad manner, saying that was the best one out there. Gong Ya knows it is too dangerous to go into the same store as the Sword King. He searches through Google and then assures the spirit that they might not be spending as much as they expected. He says they might be able to get top-grade elixirs with only a small amount of money, as he happens to know a super good pharmacist. The spirit follows the boy to a shady place and points out how it is getting scarier and scarier. He wonders what kind of genius lives in this kind of place. Gong Ya notices people looking and guesses they were checking out if they should rob him, and since he was muttering to himself, they gave up thinking that he was insane. He wonders what they will say when they find out how much money there is in his pockets. The spirit continues doubting the boy and asks if he knows where he is going. They finally reached the place. Turns out the pharmacist was surrounded by people who were taking her things away. She was busy asking them for more time, but to no avail. The bystanders began to chatter among themselves about how it was bound to happen because everything was too expensive. The woman disagrees, saying that the price that she gets is almost the same as the cost price. She yells that one cannot get this kind of quality for a health potion with this price anywhere else in Babylon except for her store, and that they should be thanking her for doing business in such a terrible town like this. However, no one paid heed to her and left. The spirit frowns and looks at the pharmacist in disdain, asking the boy if he was talking about her. Gong Ya shrugs his shoulder and coughs as a way of agreeing. The spirit was shocked and asked what he saw in that loser. Gong Ya ignores him and approaches the woman, asking if she is still in business. Of course, this person is not just a crazy pharmacist or a loser, she will be alchemy castellan. In the future, the pharmacist who climbed to the top 5 in the rankings and became the leader of the Alchemy Castle Guild. And so, he tells the woman that he would like to make an order, a quite expensive one at that. The woman agrees, saying that she can make anything. Her eyes widened as he said that, maybe around 20,000 golds worth for now. Gong Ya, I knew she would be a person who is going to be an unapproachable big shot in the future. If he can acquaint himself with her before she even steps foot in the rankings, she is going to be the goose that lays 100 fewer gold rings. And so he will become a regular through and through. The woman welcomes him inside the place. Gong Ya was quite taken aback by the state of the place. The woman confirms that she is really commissioning her for 20,000 court. She says that she would like to be paid first if it is possible. Gong Ya knew that her financial situation was so bad that she was not able to show basic courtesy, and so he asked her to take as much money as she needed from his account, and he would inform the party beforehand. She says the only thing she won't make is drugs. Gong Ya was surprised to see that she has the guts to decline tens of thousands of gold after her store just shut down. Although she is naive, she has strong convictions that will lead her to become the alchemy castellan. He assures her that it definitely is not any kind of drug relieving her. The spirit gives up and reveals the formula, which Gong Ya then tells the woman word for word. The spirit was surprised to see the woman was deducing how powerful the formula was. She says that these combine to form a mixture that greatly increases reflexes and is an extremely high-quality formula. She continues rambling on about the potion ingredients, impressing the spirit. She then reveals it will take 4 days to make. Normally she could do it quicker, but she needs to buy new equipment as well. Gong Ya beams with excitement, saying that 4 days is a steal. They then make their way back, and the spirit complains that he still does not approve of her as he has. No idea how many people have bugs bigger than their bite. Gong Ya asks the spirit where he learned the formula, to which he reveals he created it himself. He consumed all sorts of poisons in order to create the best elixir. Gong Ya smiled, saying that the woman was good enough to figure out the true potential of the formula immediately, and so he should place some trust in her. He reveals that although she might look like that, in 10 years, she is going to be the most powerful person in the alchemy castle. The spirit was shocked to hear that and became speechless. 4 days passed by and the woman came back with the formula. She gave him 3 boxes in total, with 30 bottles in each box. Gong Ya was satisfied with the transaction, as it was 15 times more efficient than the store. The spirit knew. The woman then hesitatingly asks why he left such a costly request to a nameless pharmacist like him. She says that looking at the formula he requested this time, she thinks there would only be around 2 people in Babylon who would be able to understand it properly and make it, but people only think of her as a freak. Gong Ya, obviously he couldn't say out loud that it is because the pharmacist before his eyes is a genius of the century, but he then wonders if it is just because of that. She was the first person to arrive on the scene when the city caught on fire. She was also the person who saw the real personality of the Flame Emperor. She's scared and kind and has the ability to read people as well, so wouldn't it be a loss to not get close to a person like this? He tells the pharmacist that she looks kind, so he helped her, but he says she would have succeeded without his help anywhere. He reaches out his hand, suggesting they help each other out in the future. The pharmacist agrees, saying in order to change the world, you have got to succeed first. She then tells him to feel free to call him when he has anything to request. The next day, he made his way to the 3rd floor hunting grounds. It was full of monsters that he is going to have problems dealing with. The spirit tells him to drink the elixir first. Gong Ya was surprised to see how normal it tasted. But all of a sudden, he begins to sweat as he feels a sudden pain in his chest. Everything turns dizzy around him as he tries to get a hang of the sensation he was going through. The spirit grins as it only confirms that the pharmacist was pretty scared. Gong Ya feels like his head is going to burst. Plus, the feeling of sweat dripping down was terribly vivid as well. The spirit confirms that is the effect of the elixir, giving him more time to react by slowing down his perception of the present. It was indeed something truly incredible, yet weird. He could sense his heart moving, the spirit says. That is his aura. Anyone who has entered the tower as a hunter gets that formed inside of their body. It is just that they live their daily lives without recognizing its presence. He says that how proficiently you can control your aura will determine the results of a fight. If someone has no talent like him, their body is going to have to suffer. As a monster approaches the boy from behind, the spirit tells him to run or he will end up getting hurt. The spirit tells him to kill himself if he does not like this, and then the kill count will go up again. He loves saying the old man is going to love him for that. The orc's movements were pretty slow as the boy processed them. He guessed he knew this was the effect of the elixir. However, he can see the attacks, but his body won't react to them. It was pretty frustrating. The spirit tells him not to give up as he can evade this. He explains that low-level mobs like orcs have simple attack patterns. Once you identify them, the rest is easy. He tells him to charge up the aura in his legs. Gong Ya makes a run for it, as it is easier said than done. He knows if he can dodge, if he can move just a single step. He ends up succeeding. The spirit explains it is hard because he does not have a path for the aura to move around yet. His body is like a small footpath in a deep forest. He needs to open up the path like a highway to be able to start using aura. Gong Ya, he's only tasting the aura because of the elixir. Without it, he does not stand a chance. He asks the spirit what happens when his footpath becomes a highway. He hates to admit it, but the spirit was right. A path full of weeds without a single living creature around is what describes him perfectly right now. But what if he can't break through? What if he does succeed? Despair reminds him when his head was chopped off so helplessly by old man Marcus. He says that was just a horizontal slash. He says the old man still has a long way to go, but Tim Zombie is nothing compared to him. Gong Ya continues to avoid the orc's attacks. He then takes out his weapon and climbs his way towards the ark, stabbing him. The spirit advises him not to let his guard down until the very end, as the orc has a thick skin. He lectures and tends to focus his aura to the tip of the blade. But realizing it might be too difficult for the boy, he tells him to just dump all his aura into the tip. Kim Zombie does asteroid, eventually killing off the monster. Spirit guesses it must hurt him because he is using aura, which path is not even there. His weakened body is on the verge of death right now. He did that to himself just to kill a single orc. But he says he likes the part where he bent the aura like a spring. The spirit then tells him to just die, as things will get better after that. If it were not for his regression skill, he would not have recommended this type of training method to him. Even the old man Marcus would just meditate after taking an elixir and wouldn't push his body to the limit. Gong Ya was utterly confused and wondered what the spirit was saying. The spirit says that killing himself would make his kill count go up. Rather, he should use the method that does not make his count go up. He says after tasting the use of aura, dying 100 times should be enough. And so he suggests starting with death 1. Before he could process another monster creeping up on him from behind and stabbing him, he had given up and so he died. Everything turns dark and he goes back to the system. To his shock, the spirit had regressed with him as well. He explains to the spirit that this is where he stays for a bit when he dies and that he is calling it another world for now. The spirit finds it fascinating. To both their shock, monsters have skills too, and they can randomly copy their skills. Without any further delay, he begins to copy the orc's skills. The spirit begins to protest that the system is giving such a good skill to a newbie instead of an amazing hunter like himself. He says this is the collapse of hunter's culture. But he pauses when he sees the boy choosing a random card. He suggests he pick something good as this is a chance for him to get ridiculously powerful. Gong Ya reveals that there is no way to know which card is better than the other one, as they are all the same color and look like a game of luck. But the spirit reveals he can see them, the fronts. This was instantly a game changer. Since the spirit can move as he wishes, he is able to see the front of the cards. The spirit begins to read out the cards. The first card was Blessing of Reproduction. The second was the Chi-Ik card. In this moment, the boy has never been so grateful as he is now. That explains that he would have ended up picking these cards if he didn't stop him. Gong Ya says he prefers the second card to the fertility one, but before the two could discuss, Gong Ya had already chosen and he wakes up. Gong Ya was now energized and happy, unlike the spirit. They make their way through the third floor once again, following the exact things they did back then. Gong Ya drinks the elixir and faces the orc once again, but this time he ends up killing it earlier than before by using the Chiik power. The spirit feels bad for the orc, saying that there are hundreds like him, due to which the powerless orcs are suffering. But Gong Ya did not care and suggested they make their way to the fourth floor now. A week passed by. Gong Ya had now reached the fifth floor and was facing its monster, the Great Goblin King. He instantly activates his skill, Goblin High Society. The Goblin Gang was shocked to see the human knowing the perfect language of the king. He gets distracted, and the boy takes the chance to kill him in that instant. The Goblin King was his toughest enemy this past week. As the spirit sees Gong Ya bid goodbye to the acclaimed enemy, he becomes extremely disappointed, saying that he is getting all emotional just because he killed a monster. Gong Ya argues that he barely hunted him, only after 6 coins, and he deserves some time to be emotional. Also, dear readers, by 6 coins he means 6 lives. The spirit continues to nag him, saying that he is only stating the facts, and besides, it was not even an honorable fight. Gong Ya disagrees and shows how he fought with the legitimate skill earned with 5 lives worth of coin. They get distracted as the system window suddenly pops up, revealing that his existence has become more apparent. With that, his hunter level increases, expanding skill slots. Gong Ya smiles in excitement as hunter's rank is now E-class. The spirit was busy wondering if it was fireworks or blood, he says. It is sort of a hint. Gong Ya remains confused, so the spirit explains that his aura type is determined depending on what kind of effect you show when leveling up. For example, the Flame Emperor guy he killed, his aura type is definitely fire. He continues to explain that the aura's form is usually influenced by the hunter's trauma, but it does not necessarily always have to be bad memories. Events, scenes, and things that are memorable enough to affect one's life appear in the form of an aura. One can think of it as some sort of unconsciousness. He personally believes Kim Zombie to be either fire or blood. Gong Ya questions, "What was the state of the Sword King's aura?" The spirit reveals it was moonlight. When the Sword King was young, he got lost in the mountains. Not wanting to die, Marcus went up to the top of the mountains and said that the moon in the open sky was so beautiful. The moon shines by receiving the light of the sun, not with its own strength, but with another's strength. Living with what is given can be beautiful too, and that he wants to shine like the more light. This is what Marcus thought of as a 12-year-old boy and has lived by ever since. Gong Ya was stunned to hear this, and it seems the Sword King is abnormal too. Spirit shifts the conversation and says that they should continue to the 6th floor now. But Gong Ya suggests they skip to the 10th floor, boss. The spirit was a bit annoyed and reminded him that he's just a kid and she should not overestimate herself. His demeanor had shifted, and he darkly asks the boy if he knows how many experienced hunters died on the 10th floor. But Gong Ya still remains confident and says if he cannot clear the 10th floor into coins, he will start calling the spirit a master. The spirit makes fun of him and says that he, the guy who took 6 coins to defeat the goblin boss, will spend only 2 coins on the 10th floor. Gong Ya interjects, saying he has a condition and that the spirit should tell him the skills that the boss has on the 10th floor. The spirit was impressed by his negotiation skills. Gong Ya also adds that if he wins, the spirit has to call him by his name and be as polite as possible. Hearing this, the spirit does seem reluctant a bit, but he ends up agreeing. He says that if Kim Zombie fails on the 10th floor, he will serve him as his master till he dies and can't even die, so he will have to get used to the word master. The challenge was on. The other hunters think of the boy as insane, as to them the spirit was not visible. However, the guards on the 10th floor refuse to let Gong Ya in. They ask if he's trying to challenge the boss by himself, asserting that solo hunting here is an act of suicide. He points out that the news clearly says that the Blood Dragon Guild failed after organizing a 34-member elite team. Gong Ya remains unfazed and points out how it is the law to allow entrance by any hunter who is willing to challenge it. But the guard reveals that he records all the hunters entering and exiting here, and auditors will check upon all these records later. Then, he will be the bad guy who allowed entrance to someone who was obviously going to die, and so he asks Gong Ya to understand his position as well. The spirit was extremely surprised and said that there was nothing like auditors in his world. He continues rambling about how they are forever stuck on the 10th floor because they're living in politics like this. He suggests the boy just beat up this guard and enter. Gong Ya wonders for a while about what to do, and then he expresses that he understands the guard is having a hard time. He then feigns a sincere expression and reveals how he really wants to commit suicide. He makes up a sappy plot, saying that a year ago his lover died, and not so long ago the Ministry of Alchemy told him that he has an incurable disease. He said he would die within 6 months, but he cannot live without his lover. He might be weak, but he's still a hunter, and so rather than waiting for his hand in the Alchemy Castle's hospital ward, he would like to challenge monsters. Even in his last moments, the guard was truly shocked by his sappy story. Gong Ya also begins to offer him money and says that it is his last wish as a hunter to go in. He tells the officer not to even record that he entered. The guard was truly taken aback and told him to go ahead. The spirit was truly taken aback at this story and wonders if the two are recording a movie. Nonetheless, Gong Ya was able to go to the 10th floor. It's a floor that the Flame Emperor has cleared before. Today, Gong Ya is determined to leave a legacy far greater than his ever was. As soon as he enters the building, he is met by laughing, creepy-looking dolls. They all continue to ask him to play with them. The place was also set on fire, and the system reveals that he has entered the boss stage. Gong Ya stood his ground and agreed to play with him. Gong Ya used to wonder that amongst all different types of hunters, why was the Flame Emperor the only one who was able to clear the 10th floor, even when the Blood Guild had failed 30 times? The thing is that the way to clear the 10th floor stage is simple. You have to find within the mansion a single real doll and destroy it. As they were surrounded by flames, the spirit points out that it is not ordinary. It is hellfire made with aura. No matter how much aura you wrap around your body to form a barrier, you would at most last 10 minutes in these flames. But to a hunter that uses a fire-type aura, there would be hardly any effects at all. That is why that scumbag Flame Emperor was able to clear it safely. That he even boasted that luck was also a skill after doing that, but the spirit says the guy that lives off luck is Kim Zombie. Gong Ya disagrees, saying that he's struggling to endure with his aura right now as well, but the spirit says his limit will come in around a minute from now. He then also reveals that Old Man Marcus can last 30 minutes in frames like this. On one side, the spirit was continuing to pester him, while on the other side there were dolls containing the same dialogues. He wonders what to do and then thinks that he will wonder about it after he dies first. The spirit chuckles, saying he thinks his order is certainly going to expand by a boatload when he dies here. He explains there are 2 ways to clear this place. First is to find the real doll with the chance of a few thousand to 1, or be good enough at using aura to last in this flame until he finds the real dolls. There were 10 seconds left until his aura ran out. He wonders if he should just randomly grab one for now. He looks at a blonde one and grabs it, but it starts to melt, yelling that it is not it. Gong Ya sweats wonders if they really had to direct the boss stage like this. The spirit shrugs Sing, who would understand the divine thoughts of their tower. Soon 1 second was left, time was up. Gong Ya shrieks in pain as it starts to burn. He hopes to die quickly while the spirit continues watching. He calls Kim Zombie a real masochist for accepting burning to death for becoming the best hunter. Eventually, he dies. Because of his death, the skill requirements were met, and he caught the option to randomly copy the monster Hellfire Maiden skills. The spirit keeps its promise and gives him the best-looking card. The skill was Inferno Barrier. This is the only S-ranked scale it has, despite being a boss monster. But Gong Ya hesitates to choose it immediately, saying that something is troubling him for some reason. It's definitely a good skill, but he feels heavy inside. He decides to read the other skills as well. The spirit remains confused but agrees to do so. He says there is a labyrinth planning rank A, then a rank B doll control, and a rank B remote control. There is a rank C trap placement, but when the spirit comes to read the last card, he instantly stops. Gong Ya knew he was right and tried to choose that card, but the spirit stopped him, suggesting he choose the golden card as it will help him set up a Hellfire Barrier instantly. But Gong Ya was satisfied with his choice, he says. He felt something was strange from the very beginning, one real doll amongst tens of thousands of dolls. Plus, the real doll is the one that has the fire aura, so it will not burn. But it didn't make sense because the fake dolls were not burning as well, so there was one answer to it. It had a skill that allowed the caster to not burn a target of choice. And so, before the spirit could stop him, Gong Ya had already chosen the card as they made their way back to the real world. He laughs, asking the spirit to be ready to lose the bet. Gong Ya successfully manages to return to 24 hours before. He knows they can now go back without worry and take a look around the mansion until they find the real doll. But his eyes widen as the system window pops up, saying that a penalty occurs due to the skill. It is the recreation of the trauma of the enemy who killed him. Gong Ya was shocked, but he could do nothing now. The system leads Gong Ya to a memory of the boss. The silver-haired child runs through the town streets begging for money and food, but to no avail. That is until one kind stranger offers to help him. He leads him to a mansion, promising to introduce a lot of friends in the mansion and saying that he is a doctor so he can get him treated. However, the man locks him in the dungeon. He then reveals that he is a doctor and a guard who removes diseases like the child. With his knife, he cut off the child's hair. Along with other children, he was showcased to many angry people. The man called orphans like him the cause of the country's famines. Everyone chanted, calling them children of the witches and country's viruses. And so, one by one, the children were killed, while the silver-haired child helplessly watched. His friends were taken one by one while the child became confused, wondering why they kept hurting them. Gong Ya and the spirit watched the scenes unfold. The spirit was furious, wondering how they can be this crazy and dare to sacrifice innocent children. Gong Ya guesses that this is probably the 10th level boss stage's original copy. He had no idea that a monster could be a human before. The spirit says that not all monsters are like this, and only the boss monsters are formed based on events in the other world. The other world's creatures, heroes, and everything else. And it becomes clearer from the 11th floor onwards. Gong Ya was appalled to hear this and asked why he wasn't told about this. The spirit quietly says that he did not ask. But he expresses that it is also his first time seeing the original copy. He only knew that they were from the other world, and there is no way to know what they went through, but seeing it with his own eyes sucks. Gong Ya watches the mansion accidentally catch on fire. The master of the mansion, along with the staff, exited the building, carrying all their jewels. Gong Ya yells, trying to remind them that there are kids in the basement. The silver-haired child yelled for the mister. But no one came. He couldn't understand why it was happening. They did not do anything bad, they just did not want to starve and wanted to be able to play with their friends. They just wanted to play for a little while longer. With that, the reenactment of trauma was completed. Gong Ya just turned 24 hours prior. He and the spirit sat in silence for a while. The spirit finally breaks the silence, saying that what happened to them was really unfortunate and sad, but there is nothing they can do about it right now. Gong Ya was disappointed. That is the first thing he can say. The spirit agrees he is trash but says there is nothing else they can do. That boss is simply a monster now, and the original children are already dead in the other world. He asserts it all happened long before the boy was born, and so there is nothing he can do. If that happened in the tower, he might be able to die countless times until he saved them. But that happened in the other world, and nobody can solve this problem. All he has to do is find the real doll and kill it. He thought he would be able to climb up to the 11th floor and further forward. He reminds Gong Ya that to become the strongest hunter, he has to solve these kinds of problems himself. Gong Ya guesses. That is probably what the Flame Emperor thought as well. He says Yu Suho would have 100 found the real doll and popped its head whether or not he saw this drama. Without hesitation, he says he does not want to be like that. Flame Emperor has come back. As they make their way to the building, the spirit asks him if he is a little child and if he is not going to clear this boss because he does not want to be like the Flame Emperor. He asserts that he needs to kill the boss to clear the floor. Gong Ya was frustrated and calls himself a fool. He says he did not know anything from the beginning. He reminds the spirit of when he made a scene to make him choose an S-Class skill. He repeats the S-Class skills. Traits, resentment, hostility, and vengeance that you couldn't pacify, the voices not reached, and the dreams not achieved. Burn all of that if you wish for it. A fiery hell made of aura will descend in a radius of 2 kilometers around you. Nobody can escape this hell without your permission. He questions how there is something odd. He says the last part, that nobody can escape this hell without your permission, is pretty odd. He remembers how the Black Dragon Guild was able to return all alive without killing the boss. But how could that be? He says there is only one answer, and that is that the boss gave permission to escape. It is a stage that no human could clear. And so the boss only wants one thing from the visitor. And so, Gong Ya sincerely makes his way towards the dolls, and when they ask him to play with them, and he agrees. He activates his skill and makes his way towards them, shocking the dolls, and they point out how he is not burning. He decides to play hide and seek with them. Spirit watches quietly. After counting, Gong Ya begins to grab every doll one by one. He continues going while they all melted, saying he caught the wrong one. The spirit realizes it is a memorial. Gong Ya finally makes his way to the last doll who was stuck in a cage. The doll asks if he will play with them. Gong Ya grabs it, saying it caught him and now it is his turn. The doll begins to melt slowly after thanking him. Just like that, Gong Ya was able to clear the stage. Just like that.